Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Riche Life. A few months ago, I shared with all of you that I am really committed to continuing my work with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. I am so inspired by the mission of St. Jude to make sure that no family of a sick child ever has to worry about a bill for treatment or food or lodging or transportation. And so I am continuing that work today with a very special interview with a former St. Jude patient. His name is Craig Johnson. He is a childhood cancer survivor, and he's a college graduate, also with a master's degree, very impressive, and he's an aspiring professional soccer player too. And when I first heard Craig's story, I just knew that I had to have him on the show. It's a story that's filled with so much hope and inspiration and determination and faith and triumph. And I know that you will get just as much, if not more, from hearing Craig's story too. So Craig, welcome to the Riche Life.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So I want to start with, obviously we're going to tell our audience a lot about your story. Much of your story today will be about your experience with St. Jude, but I want to know a little bit more about your experience before you found out that you had leukemia. What was your life like as a boy growing up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, prior to age 15?
It was a lot of love, a lot of family. I enjoyed playing soccer. I enjoyed playing multiple sports. I played basketball, soccer, a little bit of street football, baseball, and I ran track at that time too. So I was, active year round.
Surrounded by family and lots of love, and I'm sure that just magnified after your diagnosis.
Yes.
Speaking of which, you found out that you had leukemia after a soccer injury.
Yes, ma'am.
How did that happen?
Well, actually, one of my teammates, who was actually a cousin of mine, with that practice, he knocked me down, just everyday soccer injury, just me and him fooling around. I kind of shook it off, continued practice, and I just felt a little different like after practice.
But you didn't have any other symptoms or anything wrong before
I felt like
that
I was
day?
in probably the best shape of my life at that time, because I just come off my freshman year at McKinley, and I was the only freshman to start varsity. So going into 10th grade year, I just felt like maybe I was going to be the man a little bit.
Right. So how did we go from the initial injury to actually getting the diagnosis?
My mom, she said, go get in the tub. You'll be all right, just a little out of shape. So I got in the tub, and I noticed like a lump like that size in my abdomen. And so from then, I screamed to call my mom, obviously, and she was like, get out the tub. And we called my pediatrician, because he's a friend of the family as well. Okay. So we called him, and he said just ice it for the night, and then see him in the morning. So we went to the pediatrics office that morning, and he was like, this is definitely a sports hernia. Okay. So he sent me to the specialist, Dr. Bridges, and from there I was laying on the examining table, and I just couldn't breathe. It was very hard for me to breathe. And he was like, your abdomen doesn't really have anything to do with your, with your lungs. So they ran the ultrasound up my side, and that's when they noticed a tear in my spleen, and it was swollen. So I went from a hernia to a torn, swollen spleen in a matter of a few hours. So they rushed me to the hospital. I was getting a blood transfusion, and everything was starting to look like it was healing itself. My spleen went down, and the tear was starting to heal on its own. So my general surgeon and my pediatrician thought, I was going to be fine. And a nurse, just hearing that conversation between those doctors and my mom, just ran a random blood culture. And just from that blood culture, that's how they found the leukemia in my blood. And a miracle, honestly. And then the next day, I was at St. Jude. So.
Wow. So let me just go back. So that nurse was your angel.
Yes,
in a way.
Definitely.
Because at the time, the doctors are thinking sports hernia and a ruptured spleen, but certainly not leukemia.
It was 48 hours of just a lot of turmoil, a lot of sadness, a lot of not knowing what's next.
Right.
And once you have that, fear is next. So it's like a lot of fear, but at the same time, I was very hopeful. I never really thought about dying in a sense, like obviously it does cross your mind, but I never felt like, oh, you know, this was the end. I always knew it was something more, and this was just like, you know, a pit stop in my life, honestly. And that goes along with the family and the friends that I have around me.
I like that. I like that. So a pit stop.
Yeah, just
A
a pit
pit
stop.
stop. All right. So a big part of that pit stop was St. Jude, or is St. Jude, because you're
Is.
still very well connected, the St.
Yes.
Jude family, and you do call it a family, right? Tell
Yes.
me why that is.
Oh man, the family aspect literally started on the first day. The nurses that I met, Jerry, she was the best nurse I could have asked for. My doctor, Dr. Anaba, and Dr. Pia, my two doctors when I first arrived there. They're so fun, so loving. Dr. Anaba, I vividly remember my first Halloween at St. Jude. He came down the hallway in a sumo suit.
Oh,
And
those are
he's not
always
really a big
funny.
guy, but a sumo suit. And it's like when you have that kind of spirit around you, it's no way you could be sad or really think about negativity, because your nurses are happy, your doctors are happy, your parents, they're gonna be happy to see these people around you happy, so that's gonna make you happy. And cafeteria workers, the people that cleaned up after you in the bathroom, like, you do realize you're cleaning up after you, but they're happy too. And it's just that whole feel of it is definitely like a family, you know? So it's like, even though you're sick, it's still that support and that love that you get from, you know, your family, like if you had a cold or something.
Right, right. And what did you tell me your mom called St. Jude?
Oh, she calls it the Disneyland for sick kids.
Right, right,
Yes,
right.
ma'am. That's what she calls it. Because, I mean, honestly, most of the children are like me. You know, we have high spirits, always have a smile on our face. We could have just finished a round of chemotherapy, but, you know, we're alive. We made it through. Now it's time to go do something fun. You know, it's time to cheer up ourselves and give ourselves some energy. So definitely, like, when you hear the stories, you would think, oh, it's, you know, it has to be a place of just gloom and doom. But when you enter the building, it's a spirit that you feel, and it's like everybody's happy. And it's like, yes, we're going through serious things, but if you keep your spirit high and you keep the positivity up, most of the time, it leads to good things, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I totally agree with that. So it wasn't always fun and games, though. You had school too,
Yes.
right? And I did not know that when I first learned about St. Jude. I didn't know that there was a school there for St. Jude patients and their siblings. But tell me about your experience there, because that was your 10th grade year,
Yes.
right? Okay.
So I basically spent all of 10th grade, at St. Jude, and a little bit more because I spent that summer after 10th grade a little bit at St. Jude as well. But Mr. Dennis and Justin, two of the best teachers I've ever had.
And so you worked one-on-one with them. Okay.
I mostly worked with Mr. Dennis. Words can't really describe that man. He's also one of those crazy people. Always had a joke to tell me every day. But just his dedication, I think, is what drove me to stay connected with him. Because it's like, obviously I know I'm not his only student, but within that hour or those, 2 hours, I felt like I was the only student he had. Because he
Wow.
would dedicate whatever mind space he had to making sure I understood a concept, or making sure we finished our project or finished the unit. Like, he would make sure it was done before I left. And that kind of followed me even throughout the rest of high school and college. Just once I started an assignment, just not finishing until I understood it or completed it. And I definitely could commend him and give him his high praises for that. And then once I wanted to pursue going a grade level higher, he wasn't like, oh no, this is too much. He was like, okay, well, it's
Wait, I want to back
physics.
up. So tell me about that. So once you wanted to pursue a grade level higher, what do you mean?
Also, thanks to my mom, she was like, well, you're finished with your schoolwork, but you seem like you had too much free time. So, Mom, I'm battling cancer here. And so my mom was like, so we're just going to do some courses through LSU, and we're just going to maybe go back to school a year ahead.
Wow.
And she was like, there's no reason for you to stay in Baton Rouge if you don't have to. And I was like, At first, I wasn't necessarily too keen on the idea of like leaving my friends because I just left them. You know, I've been away this whole time at St. Jude. So basically, I only spent 2 years in high school.
So when you came back to school after being at St. Jude for almost
Like
a year,
year and a
and some
half.
change, so you were actually a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you finished high school early.
Yes.
And then what? So I heard you got into some pretty impressive schools.
Okay. Oh, so gotta give Mr. Justin his shout out.
Okay.
He helped me a lot with my SATs and my ACTs at St. Jude. And so I was accepted into all the schools I applied. So Duke, Harvard, Morehouse, Baylor, and Florida A&M. But Howard was the place that I chose. And it was strictly off the visit. Like once I came to visit DC, I loved the city and the Mecca, you know.
Yeah, that's what they call Howard.
Yeah.
And so you went to Howard. That's where you decided to go. And who else went with you to DC?
Oh man, my mom, she came to DC because I was still getting chemotherapy. So I would go to the Howard Hospital twice a week, once to get, you know, my blood drawn, and then the next day to get the chemotherapy.
Wow.
And at that time I was still 17. So my mom had to sign off all the approval and whatnot.
So from Baton Rouge to DC, how long was your mom there with you?
She stayed until I turned 18, so until the end of my freshman year.
Wow. So during our interview, you've talked about two things that saved your life, St. Jude and soccer. So I want to know, whatever happened to soccer? Where are we now?
Soccer is still the main goal. So I started playing in some adult leagues. I went to Houston and played in the adult league, finished second, so that was very fun. Played against some former pro players and some semi-pro players. So I was like, okay, this is quality. I must be pretty good if I'm playing pretty good against them. The teams there gave me some great information and told me basically they liked me. They just wanted me to get in a little bit better shape. So I went to another one, and from that one, they essentially told me the same thing, but this one was more intense, and they invited me to Europe. So right now, I am training. I have about a week left before I go to Europe, to Latvia, and I'm just raising money and training to make sure I get over there and make the best of that opportunity, honestly.
Awesome, awesome. So by the time this airs, Craig will be back from Europe, or I don't know, maybe you'll still be there. We are all wishing the best for you, though,
Yes.
of course. So I have to update you. The end of the video, I'll let you know the status of that. But I really feel like your life has been such an incredible story, and I know that you have so many great things
It's a blessing,
in
really.
store for you. It really is, and I think it's a blessing for people like me and for people like us to hear a story like Craig's. He was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 15 years old, and now you're 25. You're in year 5 of remission.
Yes, I'll
right?
be
And that's
celebrating remission September 23rd.
yes, and
So,
we'll be
5
celebrating
years.
with you because
Thank you.
that's a really big deal in the world of cancer, hitting the 5-year mark.
It's like I'm more excited about that than I think I was my 25th birthday, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, you know, an obstacle is kind of being crossed. So hopefully I'll be signing a soccer contract, and then right after that I'll be celebrating being 5 years in remission. So gonna keep our fingers crossed.
Yes,
and prayers
fingers
up, you know.
crossed, prayers up
Yes,
for
ma'am.
sure, for sure, for sure. And you're still doing work with St. Jude.
Still volunteer with them as much as possible. Still doing speeches. I love Sunday of Hope, so whichever Sunday of Hope they invite me to, I go to. Yeah, anywhere I could help my family, I definitely, you know, try to.
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, and that's his St. Jude family, and I think that's such a beautiful story. For those of you who don't know, St. Jude's mission is to make sure that no family with a sick child ever has to pay a bill for their treatment, for food, lodging, transportation. I just think that's such an amazing thing, and so I'm continuing to support St. Jude. Craig is. I want you to as well, and I hope you subscribe to the Riche Life so that you can stay up to date with all of the latest. We've got lots of great things coming up this fall.